2,
Sergio,
check.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. We are in the month of October. It's a month of Halloween, but also the municipal elections. So Sergio, would you care to introduce yourself? Who are you running for? Whatnot?
My name is Sergio de Silva. I'm the co-owner and operator of Turbo Haüs, co-owner and operator of Le Café Big Trouble, and I'm the candidate for city councillor for Transition Montreal.
And I'm sure the question a lot of people are asking right now, why politics?
Why politics? Why specifically municipal politics? This one is the only one that I really have any sort of interest in. It's the area in which you can make the most difference for people's everyday life. Your day-to-day life is most affected by the policies that are enacted by municipal politicians.
And was the process to become a council member difficult?
I mean, in terms of what my day-to-day looks like, it's not that much different. I'm already kind of active in my day-to-day in terms of politics. But it was a relatively simple situation. Craig Sauvé, the leader of Transition Montreal, came to see me. He convinced me that it was a good time to get involved. And here we are.
Was it a difficult move for you? Because I know punk and politics often don't mix.
I
they do mix.
Punk and politics are intertwined.
Yeah.
The idea that, they're separate, and there is obviously an aspect of punk in terms of nihilism, not giving a shit, not doing what anybody says. Obviously there's that aspect of it. But the one that I'm more interested in is community engagement, creating community, helping with the culture of the places that you live in, helping with the culture and community of your scene. Those things are infinitely more important to me than the posturing of nihilism and not giving a fuck about the people who are around you. I find that aspect of punk to be repulsive, and I don't really, I don't associate with that aspect of it at all. I think the more important part is the one where everybody is putting their hands in to help each other out, not leaving anybody behind, making sure that not only am I taken care of, but my friends are taken care of.
So kind of what you're trying to say is that whole narrative of punk and politics don't mix is kind of BS.
It's dog shit.
Yeah.
It's like a dog shit idea of, and ultimately there are some aspects, just like in every sort of scene or any sort of whatever, there's certainly those aspects that come into play, and people will, we'll go towards them because it seems like an easier way to do things. It's easier to be nihilistic. It's easier to not care. It's easier to just think about yourself and not the people who are around you. It makes life easier. It makes how you go about your day easier. It makes the decisions that you have to make on a day-to-day basis easier. But ultimately, that kind of selfish behavior just makes it worse for the people who are around you. Ultimately, my plan is to help with the grassroots associations that are in Montreal, that are within my riding, to make sure that they have the things that they need to continue to do the work that they do. Like the D.I.Y ethics of punk certainly come into politics, certainly come into how I would like to see the city function, how I'd like to see them cooperate with the people, again, who are already doing the work.
And I mean, so why Transition Montreal? Why that specific party?
They most align with my personal politics. They're very much in favor of helping people who are in need in terms of social housing, in terms of cheap and affordable rent, cheap and affordable public transportation, the idea of reining in some of the overtime for the SPVM, and then re-putting that money into different initiatives that actually help keep the city safe. For me, that's huge. And then as well, they're not what we would call a whipped party. I don't have to vote along party lines. So what is best for the constituents of my district, I can vote in favor of those despite what the party is voting for. And it also helps me to work with the people who are in different parties. The idea of one person knowing best and one person implementing their plans certainly isn't how I would like to see things done. In order to get anything done, we have to be able to work together, and Transition Montreal and their policies allow me to explore other avenues in order to get things done for the people who are living in this district.
Did you have any other parties in mind that you contemplated joining, or was it really like your sole focus on Transition Montreal?
I mean, ultimately, it was just Transition Montreal when it comes to like how I would like to see the city go forward. You look at the thing with municipal politics is that it is the dirtiest form of politics. It's weird because it's simultaneously the most important, but also the dirtiest version. This is where you can find the landlords who are trying to become city councilors, fucking real estate agents, people who have a vested interest in seeing in changing, local policy in terms of zoning, in terms of where public housing will go, in terms of public transport, in any dirty little way that they get the nasty little fingers involved and make money for themselves. This is where they're going to get involved. There are some absolute fucking bozos and psychopaths who are running in these elections. It's very easy to see some of the people who've come out in different parties saying the most absolute heinous shit. But ultimately, it's stuff that you have to take very seriously, because when you see these people, they're the ones who are going to say what is going to happen with your day-to-day life. Despite it having the lowest voter turnout, it is literally the most important form of politics outside of maybe provincial, because provincial will talk about where money goes for education, where money goes for where the money actually goes for housing, where money goes for healthcare. Like, that's also huge. So you have to think in terms of politics, where the most important decisions are made are at the local level.
What do you want? What are your specific visions for Montreal?
What I'd like to see, and what I need, more than anything else, I would like to see government work more with the groups that are already doing the work. Frappe Rue, Spectre Rue, Cactus, the Old Mission Brewery, Pops, Dans la Rue, all these people who are already working on issues of socialized housing, safe injection sites, community outreach to people who are in need. They're already doing the work. And my ultimate goal is to see them be able to do as much as they can with as many of the resources that the city has to offer that I can find, to make sure that not only are they funded properly, but they're also defended in the media. When you look at things like socialized housing, if you look at things like emergency shelters, you look at things like safe injection sites, they are villainized. They're made to look like they're the problem. And it's important to remember that just because there's somebody out there who's taking care of the problem, it doesn't mean that they are somehow endorsing that lifestyle. Just because I think that we shouldn't destroy encampments doesn't mean I think people should be living there permanently.
I mean, on the topic of when you said safe injection spots, I think there's one that opened by Foufs, right?
Yeah, that's Cactus.
And I don't think I've seen any positive coverage on that place ever.
Because it's impossible to look at what the positives are. It's impossible to show people less dead to people. You know what I mean? It's hard to show people not ODing, but it's very easy to show people who are, in the after effects of using substances. It's very easy to see people who are sitting around waiting to get in to be able to use these services. Of course, it's going to be more concentrated where people are being able to get their hands on these resources. But it's important to remember that these people are our neighbors and they already live in these neighborhoods. And now you're just confronted with the fact that they're there. And people will be like, well, I don't want my kids to see a syringe in the park. That's fair. But also, you probably don't want your kids to see a fucking dead body in the park.
That's true too.
So let's, really, your proximity to the problem does not mean that it's your problem. The fact that you live near homelessness does not equate your needs to the needs of the people who are experiencing homelessness. And it's super important to remember that. It's also very important to remember that we're talking about people.
For sure.
We're not talking about garbage. We're not talking about public transport. We're not talking about the budget, where you can say, listen, I don't like the fact that there's no buses on this street. You simply can say, okay, we're going to find a way to put buses on the street. Point final, c'est fini, it's done. But when you're talking about I don't like the fact that there are people here. You can't just shove them off. You can't push them further to the edge of the city where they're further away from resources and further away from the people who have the capability of helping them. Most people are a couple of paychecks from ending up in a situation like that. Nobody wants to be addicted to drugs. And when you look at the resources that are currently being provided for them, a lot of people are having to make really rough choices between if they're going to have somewhere to live or if they're going to have something to eat. But you can't do those two things at the same time if you're also not getting a rent subsidy. And not only do you have to get a rent subsidy, but you also have to find somebody who's going to be willing to rent their apartment to somebody who's in crisis. Mm-hmm. All these problems compounded leads to people being on the street. And when you can't make the choice between where you're going to live, what you're going to eat, and how you're going to get by, then the simplest answer, especially for somebody who's already dealing with drug issues, is just to do more drugs. Mm-hmm. And those are the choices that they have to make, and they're people, and they're free to make those choices. And, if you're addicted, it's not really a choice anymore.
It's not that easy to.
You fucking need it. You need it. And when you're in a situation where you're on the street, when you're in the situation where you're at the end of your rope, that means you've already exhausted every other option. You can't go home back to your family. There are no friends who are willing to take you in. This is where you're at. Mm-hmm. And it's up to us as a society, as a community, to make sure these people are taken care of and not see it as the people who have what they need as having the problem of living adjacent to homelessness. We have to always remember that is the main priority. In order to deal with the communal problem, you have to take care of the specific problem. If we can do what we can do and everything that we can to get rid of the homeless situation in Ville-Marie, which is where it's the worst in the city, then everybody will benefit. But if we only look at the people who are dealing with homelessness as something that they're adjacent to, then you just push it further and further away. The problem never gets fixed. And ultimately, other people will come in to replace the people you've gotten rid of. It's a nasty cycle that doesn't get fixed unless you address the root issue. What I'd like to see almost immediately is changing the way that we do funding. It's great that a lot of these associations and organizations are able to get funding for specific projects. Yeah. And that certainly helps. But what we actually have to fund is their day-to-day operations. Mm-hmm. In order for people to be able to engage with the community, you have to be there long-term. In order to get the trust of the people who are around you, to be able to provide them the help that they need, you have to create that closeness, that trust. And that doesn't happen if you're in a situation where you're replacing staff every 3 to 6 months, because there is no job security in a project-based model of subsidy.
Another vision that you often talk about is nightlife.
For sure.
There's been a lot of closures, right? Mm-hmm. There's been Let's Flip last year. This year there's been Blue Dog, right? What are your expectations? What are your thoughts?
I mean, the biggest thing about nightlife is you have to remember nightlife is operating the way that it's supposed to. Okay. Venues are given licenses for both shows, a permis de spectacle and a permis d'alcool. They're given these permits to operate under the conditions that they're in. Mm-hmm. So they're not doing anything wrong. Yeah. You have to change your mind frame as to what nightlife is. And again, for a lot of people, they'll see nightlife as a nuisance, as a bunch of young people going out to party. They don't see that it's one of the biggest industries in Canada, more than the automotive industry, more than a lot of industries in this country. It provides a huge swath of people in the city with work. You think about it, when somebody shuts down a show or somebody shuts down a venue, that one person may live a slightly quieter life. Yeah. But for the people who've lost their jobs, you have promoters who've lost their jobs, you have busboys who've lost their jobs, bartenders who've lost their jobs, sound techs who've lost their jobs, bands who have one less place to play. Mm-hmm. You have this whole ecosystem that gets disrupted because one person has decided to move to a neighborhood that they're not accustomed to, and they don't understand the ecosystem that already exists, and their complaints and their objection to it is disturbing not only that space, but it has a ripple effect over the entire city. So we have to change the way that we look at it completely. If you live next to train tracks, can you call the fucking police on CN? No. If you live next to the fucking airport, can you call fucking the police on the fucking pilot? No. If you live next to a fucking school and there's 7-year-olds playing in front of your house at 7:30 a.m. Can you fucking call the fucking cops to tell them to come arrest a fucking 7-year-old?
Again, no.
No. Can you do that when you're at a fucking, if you live next to a hospital, can you call the fucking police if there's an ambulance going in and out, waking you up in the middle of the night?
No.
No, of course not, because these are the sounds of the city. This is the sound of living in proximity to other people. This is the sound of being a part of a society and a community. And that goes the same for venues and bars.
Would you have an idea on how to counter these unfair noise complaints?
Literally don't ignore them.
Ignore them?
Literally fucking ignore them. Obviously, it's not that simple,
Yeah.
but there is something to be said for mediation. You have to get the police out of the business of dealing with noise complaints. They don't have a place there. They have better things that they should be doing. And for the amount of noise complaints that come into venues and bars, I don't think I need an armed man or woman to come deal with a bit of a noisy show. These are not dangerous situations. And all that happens when you tie up the police and you tie up 911 and you tie up all these people, it lowers response times for actual crimes that are going on. It makes it more difficult. You're spread more thin when it comes to your resources in terms of handling actual crime. If they're coming to talk to me because there's a band that's a bit loud for up the past half an hour, it doesn't make sense. So again, you have to get the SPVM out of the noise complaint business and then bring in a mediation process where the people who are making the complaints have to talk to the people that they're making the complaints against so that they can find a way to resolve the issue without involving any sort of punitive actions.
How often do you get noise complaints at Turbo Haüs?
At Turbo Haüs, we don't get them anymore because I've already gone through the process of reaching out to the people who live next to me. They all know my phone number. I've been through the process of mediation to make sure that we can provide a certain level of how people want to live their lives for us and for the people who are living here. We have these conversations. We've done the work. And obviously it's not going to work for every single situation, but for the vast majority, we can save a lot of spaces.
And noise is made by music. Used to have a band, Sugar Effect. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I became the person that I am, like traveling the world, playing shows, building this idea in my head that coming together is the best way for anybody to live, period. Like, I want to be amongst people. I want to be in a situation where I can help people with the resources that I've gathered. And, that all stems from my experiences playing music, traveling the world, being on tour.
So would you say you kind of learned about empathy through doing music and you want to bring that empathy into politics?
Of course, yeah.
What made you want to get into music in the first place? Like any inspirations, whatnot?
No, literally just wanting to hang out with my friends.
Yeah?
The whole idea of playing music was a vehicle for me to hang out with my best friends in the world.
Awesome.
And be able to travel and be able to do things with the people that I love the most in the world. Like, that's what it was. The music, for me, came secondary.
Okay. Do you have any favorite local bands?
Right now, I mean, like, in terms of, the classic ones that everybody's sort of like going bananas over right now is always like, obviously, Puffer, Béton Amé, Phase, Mulch, Birds of Prey. I mean, like, we're right now in a renaissance of punk rock and metal and hardcore in this city, and there's no better time to get involved and see what Montreal has to offer in terms of the bands that are coming in.
Wasn't Craig Sauvé in a band?
Probably, yeah. Craig was in a band.
Yeah,
for sure. He's a guitar nerd.
Does he often come to Turbo Haüs or see
I
shows?
mean, he's a busy boy. Every fucking time you see every time Craig's name comes up, it's because somebody's bugging him to fucking fix some goddamn shit. That guy's got a lot to do. So he's not, even right now, he's kind of like sober living, like, let's go, politics only, we're gonna get this shit done, and he's in it to win it. But I've seen him, but he's been there a few times for sure.
And I'm not sure if I asked you this before, but how did you guys meet? Was it a common friend who introduced you to each other?
It was somebody who sent me a text to be like, you have to meet Craig.
Yeah.
They're building their team for Transition Montreal, and I think you would be a perfect fit.
I mean, obviously, Transition Montreal, local music, right? If you had to maybe pick 3 songs or 3 albums to describe Transition Montreal best,
I mean,
maybe not local bands or just overall or whatever, 3 bands, albums, whatever.
I mean, right now, like Transition Montreal is definitely it's a diverse group of people.
Yeah.
You know, I would go anywhere from like Erykah Badu to fucking, you know, the Ramones to even just, you know, fucking, it's like you threw your iPod down the fucking stairs and it's just like playing whatever's in there.
Sergio, I thank you for your time. And do you have any closing message, final message to people watching this right now?
No, you should just get involved. Get involved. And don't get involved because you're fed up. That's like why I got involved, and that's never the best reason to. Get involved because municipal politics is actually where you can make a difference for your day-to-day life. That's where it all happens. When you think federal politics and you're like, fuck Trudeau, fuck Pierre Poilievre, these people may as well not even exist. Like, in terms of federal politics, they're basically going to be able to tell you in your day-to-day life how many ducks you can hunt in a season. That's pretty much it. But when it comes to like, hey, I've got to deal with these fucking landlords. Hey, I can't get a fucking doctor's appointment. Hey, the bus costs too goddamn much. I don't know how I'm going to get to work today. Like, that's the stuff that's affected by your local politics, politicians, and policy.